This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And in for Amy this morning, Sean from Elmwood Park. And out yesterday, a NBC Marist poll on the governor's race in Illinois.
How's it look?
Finds Pritzker 4630 plus 16 on Rauner. That really has not moved since I surveyed the governor's race the week after the March primary. So all of the millions that both sides have spent over the last 5 months haven't moved the needle at all. It's in stasis. Rauner can't eclipse 30%. And interestingly, I don't know how to break this to the surrender Rauner Republican Party, the bipartisan combine types, the enemies inside the perimeter who've lorded over the party for the last 40 years doing the bidding of Chicago Democrats. I don't know how to break it to them.
Fat guys with golf tans?
The champagne socialists and the C-suites that finance both sides but really are effectively advance the big government and government-centric view of an approach to Illinois governance. I don't know how to tell them this. The anti-Christian, anti-conservative country club Republicans can't be a social conservative. Got to be a big government Republican to get elected in Illinois. I don't know how to break it to them, Sean.
They're going to have to mop the floor of their ghetto gaming casinos?
Among moderates, self-identified moderates, Pritzker's plus 25.
Oh.
Among independents, he's plus 18. All of that great surrendering on taxes and immigration policy and abortion and junk science and gender, and yet minus 25 among moderates does Bruce Rauner find himself, minus 18 among independents. I guess it turns out when you stand for nothing, you get no one. I guess it turns out that when you surrender, when you betray, everyone leaves.
And here's the other thing. Rauner is supposedly this genius businessman with all the answers. Yeah. He's running against a guy who doesn't have an alarm clock, a trust fund baby, who's never done anything.
He doesn't even have toilets in his house.
Not only hasn't he done anything in business, what he has done is just take advantage of the political corruption, this Democrat cabal of just bad things, his entire existence. They have FBI clips where he's pretty much saying, I'll give you money if you give me an office, and it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Rauner's coming in third. I've upped my ante.
No, I don't think so. But the good news is that he and Rahm are going to have a lot more time to spend at their wine club together after the spring.
Laurel and Hardy.
Which is nice. Maybe Rahm comes and moves in. He and Amy Rule come and move in with the Rauners in the Amalfi Coast.
Ooh. Too many unattractive people in one house.
Well, it'd be tough on the Italians, that's for sure. Rauner also has done his best, in contrast to governors like Scott Walker, done his best to prop up Obamacare in Illinois. And there's an opportunity for him to continue doing the bidding of the other side that despises him, ironically. Oh, and that he finances, because they're big Planned Parenthood donors. House Bill 2624, introduced by Representative Laura Fine, who's another socialist.
Larry's sister?
Larry Fine?
Yeah.
Who's Larry Fine?
Larry Fine, the Three Stooges. What kind of kid were you? Go ahead.
Laura Fine, socialist stooge on the North Shore. This legislation, HB 2624, would limit the duration of short-term health insurance plans to 181 days. Now, remember, Trump has extended short-term health insurance. The reason they're trying to limit short-term health insurance is to ensure that healthier people do not enroll in short-term health insurance plans that will be able to last up to 36 months without new underwriting, thus preserving the Illinois Obamacare exchange. So this is a way to prop up Obamacare by herding people, into the backdoor government takeover of health insurance in this country. For more on this topic and giving us a little bit of an Obamacare update, maybe this should be more of a midterm election issue than it's been to date. We're pleased to be joined by our friend C.S. Tucker, the founder and principal broker for healthinsurancementors.com. C.S. Tucker, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, gentlemen.
So just starting locally before we get your global perspective, what about this legislation pending in Springfield that would limit short-term health insurance plans to 181 days? It's on the governor's desk. Should he veto it, and why or why not?
Yes, he should. I hope he does. In fact, I hope everyone listening who's self-employed, who does not qualify for Obamacare subsidies, which is about 7 to 9 million people, many of them self-employed here in Illinois, call his office in Chicago at 312-814-2121.
Has that at the ready?
Springfield at 217-782-0244, or email him at gov.goca@illinois.gov to tell him to veto HB 2624. And here's why. We have been waiting almost a full year for President Trump's executive order, which he signed back on October 17th of last year, to restore non-ACA qualified, non-Obamacare qualified short-term health insurance plans to a period of 364 days with one deductible. So there were millions of people who were using these plans to escape from Obamacare. And I'm not talking about people who need coverage for serious medical conditions, because you cannot dabble in the non-Obamacare market if you do have serious medical conditions. But many people are relatively healthy, and many of them do not qualify for subsidies. So their cost for individual health insurance has increased more than 200%.
You're talking about me, Stephen. You're talking about me.
Yes,
this is my reality.
Yes, although Sean is a proud scofflaw.
I am.
Which is great.
Yes, thank you.
So, but for those who are also scofflaws, this is a way for them to escape from Obamacare whilst keeping their family insured. Granted, these policies don't cover maternity. They do not cover pre-existing conditions. They don't cover mental health parity or drug rehab therapy. But if you do not need those things, the cost of these health insurance plans are a third of what Obamacare costs without a subsidy. Currently, thanks to Barack Obama's, one of the last orders that he made before he left the Oval Office was to limit these plans to a maximum period of policy ownership of 90 days. And so it hurt a lot of people because they were buying these policies that lasted all year. And if they bought them January 1st, by April 1st, the coverage would end. And they'd have to answer health questions again in order to qualify, which is great if you're perfectly healthy, but what if you're not? So a lot of people were left uninsured for the whole year of 2017 because they had to wait until Obamacare open enrollment begins at the end of the year to get coverage again. So President Trump said, enough of that. We're going to eliminate the 90-day limitation and restore these policies to 364 days of consistent coverage with no lapse and with one deductible. And everybody cheered, except, of course, for the cerebral giants in Springfield, who now want to stop that from happening. And there's one man who can veto that stop, and that is Governor Rauner. So please call his office.
I'd like to think that's going to matter. But here's my issue with this. I told you when you and I talked before that I was a scofflaw. I didn't tell you that the person that I asked to cancel my insurance was my wife, who deemed it upon herself to continue to pay. So since it's been passed, I've been ground out to where I am now paying over $2,000 a month. Now, this is me. When I don't go to the doctor. I don't want to go to the doctor. I'm proud that I'll probably die in a traffic fight. I'm not interested in offsetting costs for nonsense. That's just me, and I like the freedom to be able to do that. But one thing that I found disheartening was that after the payoffs to the quasi-government companies we call insurance companies, we found out they were going through the back door, which was a real cornerstone of Obamacare, was to pay subsidize these companies. And Trump identified that. Why is that still going on? I don't understand.
Unfortunately, it is a part of the actual law, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. There's something called risk corridor payments, where health insurers who do not take as much risk make payments to Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and CMS takes those payments and redistributes them to carriers that take more risk. So it's a way of keeping the cost down for everybody. And the president actually put a stop to that, was going to put a stop to it in early July, because there was a lawsuit that stated that the way that they calculate the risk corridor payments was incorrect. So then, of course, the left went crazy and said he's trying to sabotage Obamacare, et cetera, et cetera. But then, of course, once they realized that those adjustments were made by CMS Director Seema Verma so that they were actually correct, they released $10.4 billion of these payments to the health insurers. So this is why we're going to see, first time in 6 years, this annual open enrollment period, premium increases will be smaller than they ever have been. That's also partially because they have cranked up the premiums 200% in the last 5-6 years. So there's not much left to really raise premiums on. They've already hit us so hard.
There's this other story out of the Washington Examiner. Half a dozen states that have won federal approval to create their own reinsurance programs to lower premiums. Maryland being the most recent, includes Minnesota, Alaska, Wisconsin, Oregon, and Maine. This is a way for the states ostensibly to reduce premium increases by covering the highest medical claims from insurers on Obamacare's insurance exchanges. Is this a smart approach at the state level to dealing with the implications of Obamacare?
It is. In fact, it's what we did long before anyone ever heard of Barack Obama. We had state high-risk health insurance pools in 45 states in this nation. So in Illinois, for example, I've been doing this 22 years in the individual health insurance market, small group market. I've never been unable to offer someone health insurance, no matter how sick they were. Because as soon as they were denied from a carrier in Illinois, in the individual health insurance market, they would simply go to our iChip program, which was administered by our state. And it was money that was charged to health insurers. A percentage of their profits were put into this pool, as well as state taxpayer dollars. And that pool of money was used for people who were uninsurable. So they would simply get a Blue Cross health insurance card, just like everybody else who didn't have serious pre-existing conditions, and they would be covered. So these examples existed long before Obamacare, and that's what we want to try and bring ourselves back to, is state-run high-risk pools where you separate those with the largest claims so that their claim experience does not negatively affect the premiums of everyone else. And what Obamacare did was put everybody into the same pool, which of course drove up premiums for those who were not sick by more than 200%.
He is C.S. Tucker, founder and principal broker for healthinsurancementors.com. There's nobody more knowledgeable about the health insurance market and the Obamacare gambit and all of its implications for much of the last decade than C.S. Tucker. C.S., thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.